So this lesson is about the English words this and that and how those ideas are expressed in ancient Greek. But before we get to that, there's some vocabulary review on the first page. So what I suggest you do is pause the video, then work through those words, try to remember what they mean, and then once you've finished, play the video, and that will allow you to check your answers. So we'll start with ego, which means I. That's where you get words like ego, egoism, egotistic, egomaniac, things like that in English. A pais, paidos, is a child, or if it's masculine, you can translate it as a boy. If it's feminine, you can translate it as a girl. That's where you get, for example, the word pediatrician from. That comes from pais, meaning a child, and iatros, meaning a doctor. Then poter means when. It's a question word meaning when. Hemeteros is an adjective that means hour. Kremata is a neuter plural noun meaning money. Now, pasco means I suffer or bear or endure. And you can see it has quite an irregular strong aorist epathon, which gives us words like empathy, sympathy, and then things like psychopath, sociopath, pathology, and words like that, which are all to do with suffering and emotion and things like that. Theugo means I flee or run away. Notice that in the strong aorist it loses its E. So if you had etheugon with an E in the middle, that would be imperfect tense. I was fleeing. But ephugon without the E in the middle is strong aorist. I fled. Then number 8, apothnesco means I die. Number 9, de means and or but. It's a word which never comes first in a clause or sentence. It'll usually be second, the second word. Then meno, weak aorist emena, means I remain or wait or stay. Euthus is an adverb that means immediately or at once. An archon, in number 12, is a third declension noun, as you can tell from the genitive ending in os, and it means a ruler or a magistrate, something like that. And then a hieron, second declension neuter, means a temple. And then ek treco is a compound verb meaning I run out. So it's made up of treco and then ek, and the strong aorist would be ex edramon. Then number 15, moros means stupid or foolish, like moron in English. Pose is a question word that means how. A doulos, second declension masculine, is a slave. O just means O, and it's a word that is often followed by a noun in the vocative case. Then a xenos is a stranger, or sometimes a foreigner, or sometimes a guest. And that's where we get the English word xenophobia from, fear or dislike of foreigners. Then ex ago means I lead someone out. It's another compound verb made up of ex plus ago, and it has a strong aorist exegagon. Now, an athlon is a prize, which is where we get English words like athlete, athletics, and so on, because those are things to do with competing for prizes. A deipnon is a dinner or a meal. A demos is the people, which is where you get things like democracy from. A lithos is a stone, which is where you get words in English like monolith, for example, monolith, which is quite a useful word, and monolithic. And then in number 25, a potamos is a river, right? Like hippopotamus. Hippopotamus is a river horse. It's a hippos, a horse of the potamos river. Okay, and then below that, there is a table for the present passive endings. Again, you can do the same thing with these. You can pause the video, fill in the table, and then press play again on the video to check your answers. And the endings are these. So we start with the stem, pow, which applies for all of the rows there. And then you add the present passive endings, which are omai, etai, ometha, esther, ontai. So you get pauomai, pauer, pauetai, pauometha, pauesther, pauontai. And the meaning of those is I am being stopped, you are being stopped, he, she, it is being stopped, and so on. Right? Present passive. Now we come on to the word, I'll just delete this to get the spacing back to normal. So we now come on to the English word this. Now the Greek word for this is houtos. The feminine is hauter and the neuter is tuta. And this word is very regular. It has normal 2-1-2 endings. Now what that phrase means is that the masculine has normal second declension endings, the feminine has normal first declension endings, and the neuter has normal second declension endings. In other words, the masculine goes like logos, the feminine goes like timer, and the neuter goes like doron. So here's the table, which you can have a look at yourselves. And as I said, it's very regular. Now, this word houtos can be used on its own, without a noun, in which case it means this man, if it's masculine singular, this woman, if it's feminine singular, this thing, if it's neuter singular, and so on. A very common example of this is tauta, which is the neuter plural, and so that means these things. On the other hand, you can also use houtos with a noun, in which case you find it with the definite article but not sandwiched. So for example, the Greek for this slave is houtos ho doulos. And notice that the word houtos, meaning this, is not sandwiched. It's not in between ho and doulos. It goes either before ho doulos or after, usually before. And then the same thing goes for these gifts, tauta, ta, dora. Again, the word tauta, meaning this, is not sandwiched between ta and dora. It goes before or occasionally after. Okay, so here's a bit of practice, which is practice in forming the different parts of houtos. So the first one is these horses. So we start with, how do you say the horse? Well, that's ho hippos, right? But we want these horses, and we want them to be the subject, so we need the nominative plural, hoi hippoi. Okay? But we also need to say we need these, so we need to put houtos in the nominative masculine plural, which is houtoi. So you get houtoi, hoi, hippoi. And of course, houtoi could go after hoi hippoi, but it doesn't, it's not sandwiched. You don't put it in between hoi and hippoi. Okay, number 2, for this old man. Again, it's the same kind of principle. So what you do is you take the old man, which is ho geron, but because it's for this old man, he needs to be in the dative case. So that's to geronti, third declension dative singular. But then we want to say this, right? So we need houtos in the masculine dative singular, which is tuto. So you get tuto to geronti. In number 3 of these goddesses, okay, the goddess is Hair Thea, but we need genitive plural because it's of, so you get tone theon. And then we need houtos in the feminine genitive plural, which is two-tone, so you get two-tone tone theon. Then in number 4, this girl, okay, the girl is Hair Kore, but we want the object. We want her to be the object, so we need to make it accusative, ten koren. And then we also want to add in the word this, so we want hutos in the feminine accusative singular, which is tauten. So you get tauten ten koren. Then in number 5, these soldiers. Okay, the soldier is hos stratiotes, but we want these soldiers plural, so we have hoi plural and stratiotai plural. And then we want to say these, so we need hutos in the masculine nominative plural, so that's hutoi. Okay. Now we have some practice of sentences. Okay, so we start with hutoi hoi nautai. That means these sailors are brave. Estin Andreoi. Okay, so number 1, these sailors are brave. Then in number 2, you have tis, and tis means with an accent means who. Tis without an accent means someone or a certain, but tis with an accent means who. So tis estin, who is, hauter her pais, that means this girl. So you could say this child, but we actually know it's feminine because hauter and hair are both feminine. Okay, then in number 3 we have a genitive sandwich. Ho ton sumakon angelos. So that means the messenger, ho angelos, of the allies, ton sumakon. And then the main verb is engelen, which is weak aorist, it means announced. And then tauta means these things, because it's the neuter plural from hutos and it's on its own without a noun. So the allies' messenger, or the messenger of the allies, announced these things. And then number 4, hauter her thea, that means this goddess, provides, pareke, present tense, very beautiful gifts, kalista dora. So kalistos is the superlative form of kalos, so it means very beautiful. So this goddess provides very beautiful gifts. And then in number 5, you have hutoi, masculine plural from hutos, but there's no noun to go with it. So it means these men, or these people. And the main verb is legusin, that means they say. And then ta'auta means the same things. So it's neuter plural, so it means the same things. So auta comes from, it doesn't come from hutos, it comes from autos, which we met a few lessons ago. And if you can't remember how to use autos, you can go back to that lesson and review it. Then number 6, her komer hauter. Now, her komer hauter means this village. Right? Again, hauter is not sandwiched. It could come before or after. Hauter her komer or her komer hauter. Either way. So this village is being guarded, fulasetai, present passive, is being guarded by the old men. So hupo plus genitive, meaning by a person, by an agent. So this village is guarded or is being guarded by the old men. Then we have number 7, tis estin. That means who is, hutos. So that means this person or this man, or in English you might just say this. And then there's another question. Ara introduces a question. So is he, something like that, ho sos philos. That means your friend, because sos means your, or of you, singular. So who is this man, or this person? Is he your friend? And then we have number 8. Okay, so tauta is neuter plural from hutos, and it's on its own without a noun, so it means these things. and then pause means stopped weak aorist from Paulo, and the object is ten maken, the battle. So these things stopped the battle. Then in number 9, you have men and der. So that's a contrast between two different phrases. So I, ego, do not have a horse, uk echo hippon, but der, this man, hutos, on its own without a noun, this man has eke. So I do not have a horse, but this man or this person does. Or you could say does have one. Something like that. Then in number 10, hutoi hoi duloi. That means these slaves. So that's these slaves. Then you have the article repeated. The ones, diokomenoi, being chased, present passive participle, the ones being chased by the enemy, hupo ton polemion, did not hear, uk kusan. And then we have a genitive sandwich, tous tu angelu logus, the words, tous logus, of the messenger, tu angelu. So these slaves, literally the ones being chased, or these slaves who are, something like that, the ones being chased by the enemy, or the ones who are being chased, something like that, did not hear the messenger's words. Okay, we now have some English to Greek. Okay, so this girl, okay, well, a girl is hair, kore, right? And because we need this, we can put hauter at the beginning. Hauter hair kore. Has, the verb to have is echo, but we need third person singular, so eke. And then we need a horse, which is a hippos, but in fact it should be hippon because it's the object. And then fine is kalos, which has to agree with hippon, so we get kalon. So this girl has a fine horse, hippon kalon. Okay, or in fact you could do kalon hippon. Another way of doing this sentence would be, you could instead say, there is for this girl a fine horse. So that's using what's called the dative of possessor. So you could say, there is for, and then you'd have to use the dative. So tauter ter kore, and then a fine horse. So either of those is fine, but the easier one is probably that first one. Then who announced these things? Okay, so who is tis with an accent? Who announced? So announce is angelo, and the weak aorist is engela. And here we want third person singular, engela, and these things is just tauta. And then you need the Greek question mark, which is an English semicolon. Okay, then this man. Now this man, you don't even need the word for man. You can just say this in the nominative masculine singular. So hutos, this man. You could say hutos ho anthropos, but you don't need to. This man is not uk esti, and then a sailor is nautes. Okay, then in number 4, these women. Now again, you don't actually need to say women, right? You can just say these and put it in the feminine plural. So it's simply hautai. Hautai. You could say again hautai hai gunai, but you don't have to. Now, they admire, the verb to admire is thaumazdo, and we need it in the third person plural, thaumazdusi. Now, the laws of the country, here we need a genitive sandwich. So, tous, something, nomus. So there's the laws, tous nomus, accusative plural because they're the object. And then here we need to say of the country. So that's where we need our genitive. So the country is kora, and we need that in the genitive. So tes koras. Okay, so these women admire the laws of the country. There is an alternative way of doing that, which is to say, these women admire, thaumazdusi, tous nomus, the laws, the ones of the country. So tous nomus, tous tes koras. But again, that becomes a bit too complicated. So it's easier to do the first version. Okay, then, were you carrying these weapons? Slave. Okay, so this is a question, but it doesn't have a particular question word, so we would put ara at the beginning. So ara, and then were you carrying? Okay, now to carry is phero, and we want the imperfect tense, so we put the augment there, and then fer, and then we need the imperfect endings, and it's you singular, so feres is the second person singular. Then these weapons. Now weapons are ta hopla, and we want the neuter plural of hutos, which is tauta, so tauta ta hopla. And then slave is, you could say o slave, o doulos, except we need the vocative, so you get o doule. And then you put in the Greek question mark, which is the English semicolon. Okay. Now, there is another Greek word for this, which is hode. Hode, feminine hede, neuter tode. And this word is less common. It means the same as hutos, but it's a bit less commonly found in ancient Greek. The formation of it is very easy because you just take the definite article, ho, he, to, and put de on the end of whatever form you're using. So here it is in full in the table. There's not much difference between them, as you can see, except that sometimes hutos tends to refer to something already mentioned, whereas hode tends to point forwards to something that has not yet been mentioned. So for example, engele tauta would mean he or she announced these things that have already been mentioned, whereas engele tade would mean he or she announced these things which I'm about to tell you. So one tends to point backwards, the other tends to point forwards, but it's not a big difference. And that's why in this second sentence here, you could translate tade as the following, because it means these things that I'm about to tell you. Okay, so again, here is some practice. So hode hodoulos, that means this slave. Nun means now, and feuge means flees or is fleeing. So this slave is now fleeing or running away. In number 2, ara makes it a question. Egrapsas is weak aorist, you wrote. And then tende ten epistolen means this letter. So did you, singular, write this letter? Now in number 3, tines means who, and it's plural. So who are haide, these women, and then you have hai, which specifies, so these women, the ones being chased, dio comenai, present passive participle, being chased by the boy, hupo tu paidos, or by the child. So who are these women? The ones being, or who are being chased by the boy, or you could say by the child. Okay, now number 4, tade ta hopla, these weapons, uk estin are not, and then Emma means mine. Emos is my. So these weapons are not mine. Okay, then in number 5, efulasomen. That means we were guarding. You can tell it's in the past tense because it has the augment on the front, the e, and it's not aorist because the aorist stem is efulax with a xi. So we guarded would be efulaxamen, whereas this is imperfect, efulasomen. And then te and kai means both and then and. So we were guarding both tous hemeterus hippus, our horses, and these ones, tous de. So we were guarding both our horses and these ones. Okay, now finally we also need to meet the Greek word for that. Okay, so if hutos and hode are like the Latin word hic, then this new Greek word ekainos is like the Latin word ille or iste. So hutos and hode mean this, ekainos means that. And the feminine is ekaine, neuter ekaina. And it's related to the word eke, which means over there. Right, because ekainos is like that thing over there. And like hutos, it has very regular endings. So masculine going like logos, second declension, feminine going like time, first declension, neuter going like doron, second declension. So there's the table. And here's a bit of practice. So if we want to say that boy, okay, so we need to say the boy, first of all, which is ho pais. Okay, and then we put before it ekainos. Now, of those letters, okay, now the letter is he epistolaire, but we want the genitive plural because it's of, and it's letters plural, so tone epistolone. And then we need to say those, right, those. And so that means we need the feminine genitive plural, which is ekainon. So ekainon tone epistolone. Then for that old man, number 3, the old man is hogeron, but we want the dative singular because it's for, so to geronti. And then we want ekainos in the masculine dative singular, which is ekaino. So ekaino to geronti. Then we want to say those girls. Okay, so a girl is he kore, but we want the nominative plural, which is hai korai. And then we need ekainos in the feminine nominative plural, which is ekainai. And then we have that road. Okay, so the road is he hodos. And so now all we need is to add ekainos in the nominative feminine singular. So ekainer he hodos, that road. Okay, and then there's some practice from Greek to English. So ekainoi hoi stratiotai, that means those soldiers are foreigners, asin xenoi. Okay. Those soldiers are foreigners, or strangers, or guests. Then in number 2, hautai, and the men sets up a contrast. Hautai emeinan, so these women, we know it's women because it's feminine, these women remained, weak aorist from meno, these women remained or stayed, but those women, ekainai fled, effugon, strong aorist. So these women stayed, but those women fled. Then in number 3, tis estin, that means who is ekainos, who is that man or that person. And then the article sort of specifies the one, enter neso, on the island. Or another way of doing that would be to say who is on the island. And then number 4, ara introduces a question. Apebales. Now this is strong aorist from apoballo, to throw away. So did you throw away ekenas tas biblus? That means those books. So did you, singular, throw away those books? And then in number 5, deipnon pareskomen. Okay, that means we prepared dinner. Okay, we prepared dinner. Ekenos, for those men. So this is ekenos on its own without a noun. For those men. So we prepared dinner for those men. Or you could say for those people. Or you could even say for them. Okay, and then the last exercise, the last translation exercise, is a mixture of hutos, hoder, and ekenos. So, is this slave guarding the house? Okay, so this is a question, so we will put ara at the beginning. And then this slave, okay, so this slave, the slave is hodulos, but we want this, so we need hutos, or you could use hoder there. So hutos or hoder, hodulos, and then is guarding, foulase, present tense, third person singular, and then the house, her oikia, but in the accusative because it's the object, ten oikian. And then we need the Greek question mark. And then number 2, these words. Okay, a word is ho logos, but we need it to be plural, hoi logoi. And then we need these words, so we need to put hutoi, or of course we could use hoder. So it could be hoide, so either of those is fine. Hutoi or hoide ho logoi. Then are being spoken. Okay, I speak is lego, but we want the present passive. So present passive, third person plural, legontai. So these words are being spoken. And then by a person is hupo plus genitive. By a wise old man. Okay, so the genitive, so this is going to be, so sophos is wise, genitive sophu, and then old man is geron, genitive gerontos. Okay, sophu gerontos, or gerontos, sophu. Then in number 3, we were chasing. Okay, this is the verb dioko, but we want it in the imperfect tense. So edioc, and then we need the ending, imperfect ending, first person plural, omen, ediokomen. Then the horses would be hoi hippoi, but we want the accusative case because they're the object, tous hippus, and it's those horses, so ekenus tous hippus. Towards is pros plus accusative. And then the sea is her thalassa, but we want the accusative after pros, so ten thalassan. Then number 4, this house. Okay, the house is her oikia, but we want this house, so we need hutos, but we need it to agree, so hauter her oikia, or of course, we can use hoder, and in this case it would be herder. So one of those, hauter or herder her oikia, has is eke. And then now gates, a gate is pouler, but we want the accusative plural poulas, so neas poulas, or poulas neas. Now the other way of doing this, of course, is with the dative of possessor, so you could say there are AC for this house, tau ter oikia new gates neai pulai. But again, the easier one is probably just to do this. Sorry, this first one here. And then those weapons. Okay, so the weapons is ta hopla. And we want those, so ekena ta hopla. Will not, so not is oo. Now to harm is blapto. The future is blapso. And now we need it to be third person singular. Remember, neuter plural nouns take third person singular verbs. So blapse. And then you, this is you plural, so humas, accusative of humes, which is you plural. And then friends will be o philoi, plural of philos. Okay, so those are all of the sentences. And then finally, we'll just look at this vocabulary. So number one, oinos is wine. Doron is a gift or a present. Pedi means around or about, and it takes genitive. Agathos means good, which is where the name Agatha comes from. Tis without the accent means a certain or someone, compared to tis with an accent, which means who. A topos is a place, like topography in English. Hekastos means each, or every, or all. Monos means only, or alone, which is where all the English words beginning with mono come from, usually. Ago means I lead. Notice the strong aorist ergagon. Kai means and. Philos is a friend. And then ek bino means I go out. Compound verb from ek plus bino. En means in, and it takes dative. Nomos is a law or a custom. And then kallistos means very beautiful or very fine, superlative of kalos. Hepta is a number, it's the number 7. Stratos is an army. And remember, there are a few words which look similar. Stratos or stratia means army, and even straton in the neuter can mean an army. Compare those with strategos, which is a general, and stratiotes, which is a soldier. Athenaios means Athenian. Time means honor. A desmoterion is a prison. Eirene is peace, like the name Irene, and the adjective Irenic. Dot means because. Luo is I set free or untie or loosen. Weak aorist elusa. Bios is life, as in biology. And hemera is a day, as in ephemeral, lasting only for a day.